Well, we were warned this is where we were headed. We knew this was where we were headed, but it is still something to behold that this is where we are. My name is Brittany Page, and this is the Page Perspective. I'm back from a trip where I discovered I have allergies all of a sudden, a not very welcome surprise, but I appreciate your patience and I'm excited to be back. I know there's a lot to keep up with, but this case is simply not getting enough attention, and I knew it needed to be my first video upon my return. The basic overview here is that a woman is being kept on life support after being declared brain dead against the wishes of her family because she happens to be pregnant. But that overview doesn't even begin to fully describe the horror of this situation and how scary it is to think that this could be a harbinger of what's to come. Adriana Smith, she's a 30-year-old woman, a registered nurse, pregnant. She lives in Georgia, which means she's subject to the Georgia heartbeat law, a propaganda term given to these laws. And they typically state these laws that abortion is banned around 6 weeks of pregnancy, when anti-abortion activists say cardiac activity begins, but it isn't cardiac activity. There's no cardiac valves opening and closing to make the sound that doctors listen for when they listen to your heart at your checkup. Why? Because the valves don't exist. Now, Adriana Smith, she started experiencing severe headaches when she was about 9 weeks pregnant. Some articles have said 8 weeks pregnant, so between 8 and 9 weeks. Her headaches were so severe that she went to the hospital to see what was wrong. And according to her family, she wasn't given any sort of scan, no CT scan. She wasn't kept overnight. Instead, she was sent home with some sort of medication, only to wake up the following morning gasping for air. A traumatic and scary event that woke up her boyfriend, who said the noises that she was making sounded like gargling, like she was choking on her own blood. And after her boyfriend called 911, she was transported to one hospital, then another, where she finally received a CT scan, a scan that revealed that she had several blood clots in her brain. Her family says the hospital staff requested their permission to complete a procedure that would relieve the pressure in her brain, and they provided their consent, only to later be told the procedure couldn't be completed, that she was unresponsive, and that she was declared brain dead. Horrible, tragic, but we cannot look away from this. I want to read from 11 Alive on her current situation. This quote is from her mother, April Newkirk. Quote, "She's been breathing through machines for more than 90 days, Newkirk said. It's torture for me. I see my daughter breathing, but she is not there. And her son, I bring him to see her. On Tuesday, Smith was moved to Emory Midtown, which doctors told the family is better equipped for obstetric care." 90 days. It's torture, her mother says, describing visits to the hospital with Adriana Smith's 7-year-old son to visit his mother. And according to local news reports, her son isn't sure what's happening to his mom. He thinks she's sleeping. I mean, this is tragic all around. Keeping a woman on life support so her fetus can continue to develop when her family is calling it torture. Who finds this acceptable? Quote, "The plan now is to keep Smith alive until doctors believe the baby can survive outside the womb, likely at 32 weeks gestation." Newkirk said Smith is currently 21 weeks pregnant. Now, I'm not going to read that section there about the heartbeat bill because it's not reported accurately and it seeds framing to anti-abortion activists and misrepresents medical realities. But you can see that Adriana is in the situation because of the abortion ban in Georgia. Quote, "But in Adriana's case, the law created a legal gray area. Because she is brain dead, no longer considered at risk herself, her medical team is legally required to maintain life support until the fetus reaches viability. The family said doctors told them they are not legally allowed to consider other options." So again, they are going to keep her on this breathing machine until her fetus can survive outside the womb, probably sometime in August, for several months. And the thing is, this family says they might not have even opted for abortion. They may have wished to continue the pregnancy, but not having that choice has caused them additional pain in the face of the grief they're already coping with. And I want you to hear directly from Adriana's mother in a moment, but one more quote here from local reporting. Quote, "While the family might not have chosen to end the pregnancy, the fact that the law stripped them of that choice has added to their trauma. Newkirk said doctors told the family the baby has fluid on the brain, and they're not sure how much fluid. They're concerned about his health. Quote, she's pregnant with my grandson, but he may be blind, may not be able to walk, may not survive once he's born," Newkirk said. "This decision should have been left to us. Now we're left wondering what kind of life he'll have, and we're going to be the ones raising him," she said. This decision should absolutely be left to the family. To be told that your daughter is gone, but that she must be kept on life support until her fetus is developed enough to live outside the womb for many more months, to be grieving the loss of your daughter while caring for her young son, to not know what the future holds for her fetus. And this is where I want you to hear directly from April, Adriana's mother.
And I just want to be clear on something. We want her to have her baby. We want her life to continue throughout her children. But at the same time, to see her lay there like that, for that length of time, the grieving process for us, it can't even start, because every time we go, we grieve and we hurt. And it's just unreal. It's unreal for anyone to go through this.
You can hear the grief. You can hear the love and compassion and tenderness and thoughtfulness and the pain. I can't imagine. There are many things to talk about here. Adriana should have received better care initially. Her family believes that she should have been kept overnight or given a CT scan, but she was sent home instead, where she then suffered a medical crisis that ended her life. We talk a lot about racial disparities on this channel and the policies and systemic failures that have created those disparities. And healthcare is another area where we see racial disparities, with Black women being 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. Systemic racism and chronic stress from the impact of racism plays a role here. Reading from Yale Medicine, quote, "Overt and implicit bias from healthcare providers is also a contributing factor," says Dr. Rainford, citing stories in the news about Black women and families who say doctors ignored their reports of symptoms and requests for help. Quote, "Implicit bias, in which a person isn't aware of their bias, is particularly problematic. For instance, a caregiver may think they are doing the right thing for their pregnant patient, but their implicit bias against the woman's race affects the care they deliver." We cannot ignore this. As Adriana's family is now facing mounting hospital bills and ongoing stress and grief, they are actually thinking about how to raise awareness of the pain caused by abortion bans and being prevented from exercising one's own freedom and control over their body. Quote, "Newkirk said she wants people to understand the human toll of Georgia's laws and the emotional weight of being stripped of medical decision-making during a crisis. In most cases, in other states, the decision would defer to the mother's wishes or those of her next of kin. This is also under the assumption that it would be difficult for the fetus to make it to viability with the mother's condition, so the family could choose to terminate. In this case, because Smith is no longer technically at risk, doctors are required to maintain life support until the fetus can survive on its own, regardless of the family's wishes." It takes so much strength to come forward and share Adriana's story, knowing the backlash to come from anti-abortion activists who are already working overtime to convince people that Adriana's situation is not due to the abortion ban. But it couldn't be more clear. This is what we get when women are stripped of bodily autonomy. We saw the stories of women bleeding out in parking lots after the fall of Roe, women being forced to carry their fetuses to term when they were told they wouldn't survive, the torment that has been inflicted on so many, and it continues today with Adriana Smith. I hope you share her story. We are all thinking of her family. You can call and leave a fewer than 3-minute voicemail at 202-656-1509 or send an email to idoubt@dollemore.com. You can support my work by clicking the join button below to become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month, or by going to patreon.com/idoubtitpodcast, or by sharing the video, sending it to a friend, sharing the channel with a friend, clicking subscribe, doing all of the things to feed that pesky algorithm. I appreciate you so much. Take care, and I will see you next time.